What do you think? Social media? An ally or an enemy? It's a question we've all asked ourselves. Do they bring people together by shortening distances, or do they end up separating us, even when we're close?
I totally agree. And when we talk about minors, things get even more complicated. Are they really prepared to handle them? Because in many cases, it seems that these platforms end up disconnecting them from reality, or even affecting their mental health.
Exactly. Look at what just happened. Australia. Parliament passed a law to prohibit the use of social media by children under 16. And the penalties are severe. Up to $30 million for companies that do not comply. This will come into effect in January 2026.
It's one of the strictest regulations in the world. And what's interesting is that it doesn't just affect new users, but also those who already had parental permission. All of this, according to the Australian Prime Minister, is to protect minors from the harms associated with the use of social media.
But let's analyze this. How prepared are children and teenagers really to handle the content on these platforms? Many studies have shown that they can develop anxiety and depression by constantly comparing themselves to influencers, or even to their friends.
Of course, and not considering that life on social media is almost always an idealized version of reality. In addition, is the problem of addiction. Young people can lose the ability to concentrate on activities that require time and attention because of the fast-paced nature of content on social media.
And it's not just that. Some doctors and psychologists say that children's brains are not sufficiently developed to process the information they receive on these platforms. There are also those who believe that this has affected their ability to socialize face-to-face.
Not to mention the spread of fake news, which affects not only minors but everyone. We also have to consider the other side. Social media has undeniable benefits. They are educational tools and key sources of information in the modern world.
Exactly. Banning them could push minors into darker and less regulated spaces on the internet. Moreover, there are critics who say that this law could contradict international treaties on human rights.
Yes, and there are also doubts about how this law will be enforced. For example, how are they going to determine which platforms will be banned? It is already known that TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, and X will be banned, but platforms such as YouTube could be allowed.
But the Australian government's definition of a social network is so broad that almost any online service could fall into this category. Also, how will they verify the age of users? Could using a VPN be enough to bypass the filters?
That's not all. Many young people have criticized the lack of inclusion in the debate, saying that social media is a fundamental part of their lives and that the authorities don't understand its importance.
The Australian Commissioner's Office and the Commissioner for Cybersecurity will be in charge of overseeing this. But in the meantime, many governments and parents will be keeping an eye on what happens.
So, throw the question at you. Would you prohibit your children or students from accessing social media, or would you prefer to educate them to use it responsibly?
It's a complicated question, but I'll throw it back at you. Do you think the government should intervene in this, or by doing so, are they limiting our freedoms?
Without a doubt, it's a complex issue. What is clear is that social media has transformed the way we live and communicate. Now, challenge is to find a balance that minimizes the risks and maximizes the benefits. Especially for young people.
Resolving this dilemma won't be easy. So, to wrap up, what do you all think? Prohibition or education? How would you handle this issue? Prohibition or education? How would you handle this issue?